Today, we're going to be talking about obsessions, the good, the bad, and the ugly for the sport and stuff around the sport. I'm Marina, your host, mother of two aspiring rock climbers, and wife to an extreme athlete. Obsession. This is something that becomes a normal behavior for athletes that are definitely taking it to the next level. As a matter of fact, it's just a normal behavior for people that do take it on to the next level. And it's funny, I read a book called Obsession, right? And before, for some reason, obsession to me always had this really negative connotation. And in this book, you realize, wait, obsession is actually a good thing. It can be a good thing, okay? It can be, but for overall, it is definitely a good thing. And it's definitely something that you probably along with your kid absolutely will start to have this obsession when you start to go pro, when you start to take it to that next level, right? So for the most part, it is definitely a very good thing until obsession could overflow into unhealthy behavioral patterns. So it is very common for athletes to have different things that they are obsessed about. And I have found the majority of the time it is their weight and food consumption. I know it's pretty much cliche. Of course but it becomes negative, right? So a lot of times, parents don't actually hear when that obsession turns into a bad thing. We started to notice this with our oldest son, right? It's an actual epidemic with climbers, especially from the younger ones growing into the older ones. And that shift in body weight and becoming taller, they're not as easily able to reach places because they gain weight because, they become adults. And eating disorders are very common in the climbing world. Now they're much more talked about, but it was very hush-hush. But it's also an eating disorder is when you become obsessed about something bad, right? Like not eating or whatever. And we started to spot that with our own son. And if you're not paying enough attention, you might miss the bad obsessions. And he really started to go wrong because here's the thing. You can deny yourself food or whatever it is. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you and you're going to either binge or you're going to do something other really unhealthy. So it's understanding those obsessions, right? Because you can alter it. I don't want to say alter it as much as you can find a solution before it gets out of hand, before it becomes really negative. So you need to really keep your eye on, it's one good thing, like your kid is obsessed, he's a motocross guy and he's or a girl, and they're constantly in the garage tinkering with all of this and then taking it out. That's a good obsession, right? But then when you have somebody like for biking, climbing, all of a sudden talking too much about what they cannot eat, what they cannot do, you need to start to listen because it could turn really bad. And I have found that some coaches don't spot that in time as well, and they actually fuel that obsession as well. Not a good thing. And remember, it will backfire on you. It will come to get you. So you need to understand when to stop it before it goes the wrong way. And that's the responsibility of us, right? Because we are adults. We understand, we hear things, but you need to be listening. And listening is a really important thing for the kid, right? You have to respect what they're doing because if you start to say, no, that's wrong, blah, 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 they're not going to stop. They're just going to do it in private. So you need to respect it. You need to understand how to work with it. And that can really help them or not. So you need to figure out how to manage and handle that situation better. Has your kid gone through that? What are some of their good obsessions? What are some bad obsessions? I would love to know. Please leave me a response. Contact me. I love to hear this and to work things out and see how we could help them. I'm Marina, your host. And remember, it takes a strategic village to make your kid flourish. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a review and share it with your friends.